So, ayan, nasa week 4 na po tayo for today. So, karugtong ng ating lesson last meeting. So, general concepts of planning, the tourism planning process. So, bago tayo mag-proceed dito, so, recap tayo ng previous lesson yung week 3 para lang ma-recall po natin. And then, dahil nga karugtong siya ng for today, so, konting recap lang. So, yung lesson po natin last meeting, which is yung destination life cycle, yung week 3, nakarugtong naman ng week 2, di ba? Nasa isang file po siya. So, na-discuss natin yung about destination life cycle, which is naka-base doon sa theory ni Stanley Plug. So, di ba may theory siya na 3 types of tourists, and then meron din itong destination life cycle, which is naka-imply nga doon sa theory ni Stanley Plug. So, meron tayong introduction stage, growth stage, maturity stage, and decline stage. So, each stages, so diniscuss po natin kung ano yung condition, ayan, nung isang, or situation, nung isang destination doon sa mga each stages. And then, ayun, diniscuss natin or binigyan natin emphasis yung gano'n ka-essential nga yung theory ni Stanley Plug kasi over the past decade, so nagamit siya sa tourism sector nga as basis iyan ng mga study, and then iyan improvement ng mga marketing plans, strategies ng isang destination. So we also discussed last meeting yung boom and bust cycle, kung marirecall po. So di ba yung rise and fall, yan ang economy sa tourism sector. So pag sinabi nating boom, di ba ito yung rapid growth, so continuous flow ng income sa tourism industry, ayan, in demand yung destination, and then pag sinabi nating bust phase, ito yung sudden decline or collapse ng isang situation ng isang destination. So maaring over tourism, hindi na nakontrol yung flow ng tourist, na overcrowd, or mga political instability, ayan, natural disaster. So maraming factor para umabot doon sa bust phase or decline. So sabi natin, nasa innovation and strategies yun ng isang destination. So, kung paano nga magre-rejuvenate, ayun, makakaalis doon sa bust phase. So, kailangan ng innovation, adaptability doon sa mga challenges doon nga sa isang destinations in order to thrive or mag-grow uli yung kanilang economy doon sa tourist destination ng isang destination or region. So, for now, so week 4 po, so, yan, general concepts of planning and the tourism planning process. So for the introduction, so this module on tourism policy planning and development covers the general concepts. Wait lang. General concepts of planning and its specific application to the tourism sector. It will explain why tourism planning is crucial for a country's sustainable development, focusing on economic drivers. So this lesson also explores the different levels of planning, the role of public and private sectors, and the significant political factors that influence the industry. So tignan natin dito kung ano yung nagiging role, contribution ng public and private sector, ay yung mga private companies diyan nga towards sa development ng tourism industry ng isang country or destination. And of course, yung mga political factors na meron ngang influence sa ating industry. And then finally, it details the 5 essential steps of tourism planning process from SWOT analysis to monitoring and evaluation. So, learning objectives. So, at the end of this module, we are expected to explain the concept and importance of tourism planning, analyze the political factors that influence tourism. So, yun yung mga legislations, taxes, saan ba napupunta ang taxes, visa regulations, and political instability. So, ano yung mga factor under nito that influence the tourism economy. And then number 3, differentiate between national and local levels of tourism planning. So, tignan natin yung difference doon sa national and local level of planning. So, ano yung roles nga ng public and private sector, paano nakakatulong sa ating industry, so towards development. or towards growth ng tourism industry. And then describe the 5 essential steps of tourism planning. So, ayan, gumamit tayo ng SWOT analysis to identify itong mga 5 steps of tourism planning. So, a concept of tourism planning. So, planning is a general term signifying a proposed method of action or procedure to achieve a predetermined goal or an objective. Certain basic factors are to be taken into consideration in the planning process. So, first, there must be an objective, and that objective must be clearly understood and accepted by all those who are to be involved. So, in planning, so we should have, syempre, specific goals and objective na gustong ma-achieve ng isang destination. So, you should have a structured way to turn yung ideas, strategies, and goals into reality. So, syempre, sabi nga natin, di ba, mga previous lesson, so, kailangan ng concrete planning, aside do sa policy and framework implementation, so, kailangan ng concrete planning doon nga sa mga strategy or towards sa development ng isang destination. So, bago take into action, so, concrete dapat lahat ng plano, in tourism sector. So, we should have a structured planning. And then, aside doon, dapat may shared goal na alamin, agreed lahat ng involved in tourism planning. So, sabi natin, di ba, dapat involved ang community in tourism planning. Kinukuha ang opinion ng community, towards doon sa tourism planning. So, hindi pwedeng government lang or mga tourism businesses. So, karapatan ng local community na maging involved doon sa decision-making, tourism planning sa kanilang destination. Kasi tandaan natin, so, tahanan po nila yung destination. So, anything na negative impact or effect ng tourism sector, so, maapektuhan yung local community. So, kailangan kukunin po yung kanilang opinion or point of view doon sa mga regarding decisions in tourism planning. So for a plan to be successful, it must have a clear objectives, a program to achieve them, and a way to measure progress toward those objectives. So the preparation of plan requires two important principles. So first, the plan must be comprehensive. This means all major internal and external factors that influence the pattern and magnitude of development must be considered, understood, and fully analyzed to establish policy and direction for growth. So second, it is essential to follow a planning process, which is an orderly sequence of tasks or actions. The need for planning arises whenever rational thinking is required to make a choice among a set of limited and substitutable resources to achieve certain goals. Yan. So, for a plan to succeed, syempre dapat may clear goal. Sabi diyan, step by step to reach nga yung each goal doon sa isang destination. A method to measure yung kanilang progress. While ongoing yung process nila, doon sa mga strategy and plano doon sa isang destination. So, sabi diyan, planning must be comprehensive. So, lahat ng relevant internal and external factors that might affect yung outcome, so, dapat carefully analyze, carefully evaluate, through nga dun sa process ng tourism planning. So, hindi tayo pwedeng ura-urada, magtatayo na lang, for example, ng infrastructure. So, kailangan nga ng comprehensive evaluation. Carefully analyze lahat ng kanilang strategy. So, syempre, titignan lahat ng factor doon. So, yung effect niya sa community, effect sa environment, yung long-term, sustainability, so yun dapat i-consider. So, planning for tourism. Tourism planning is crucial for the sustainable development of a country's tourism sector. Historically, national economic planning didn't always treat tourism as a separate field. However, as more countries, especially developing ones, realized the significance of economic benefits of tourism, a more focused approach became necessary. So, historically daw, yun nga, yung mga countries before, so wala silang specific plan and strategies doon na focus sa tourism sector. So, but as more countries, especially yung mga developing countries, nakita po nila na malaking ang nagiging contribution ng tourism sector sa economy nila. So, doon na po nagkaroon ng dedicated planning for the tourism sector. Or yun nga, binigyan pansin na nila yung tourism sector kasi nga, isa siya sa major contributor na doon sa income ng isang country, lalo na yung mga tourist spot or destination ng mga country. So, yun, doon na nagkaroon ng dedicated planning for the tourism sector. So, ngayon, yung tourism planning, organize, yan, para as tool para ma-ensure yung isang country na while making growth sa economy, at the same time, dapat preserve and protected yung kanilang natural resources. So, yun naman lagi ang purpose or priority kaya nga may tourism planning. So, siyempre, tinitignan natin yung income, yung growth sa economy, pero titignan natin yung long-term sustainability yan. Yung epekto nito sa resources, protected ba, preserved by natural resources, and then yung community, hindi ba nagkakos ng burden yung itong tourism sector, so etc. So, and then, careful sila dapat doon sa paggamit ng kanilang natural resources. Siyempre, kung ano lang yung demand, so ayun lang po yung ipoproduce. So, hindi dapat ma-abuse yung kanilang natural resources, siyempre, para sa future generation po or long-term sustainability nga ng tourism economy nila. So, economic drivers for tourism planning. So, ano ba ang benefit? Yan, pag may effective and organized na tourism planning, so una, income and employment generation. So, tourism is a powerful economic engine. It creates jobs and generates significant revenue from hotel staff and tour guides to local artisans and restoration. So, syempre, alam naman natin yun na nagkikreate ng job, nagbuboost ng income for many people, for community, for the local community, yung tourism sector. So, from hotel workers to local artisans, yan ang mga souvenir. Yan, lahat yon na napoprovide ng tourism sector na income or job opportunity for the community. So, essential po yon. So, kailangan nagbe-benefit ang community sa tourism sector. Again, and then, number 2, balance of payments. Tourism can greatly improve a country's balance of payments. So when international tourists spend money in a country, it's considered an export of services bringing foreign currency into the economy. So yan, nagkakaroon ng balance daw doon nga sa pumapasok na income, yan, monetary, yan, sa bansa, yung foreign currency. So for example, yung foreign tourist na nag-visit doon sa isang destination, so the more na nag-i-spend siya ng money, yan, doon sa isang destination or sa country, so yung financial standing ng isang bansa or destination, so malaki yung na contribution or natutulong nitong mga tourists na nag-i-spend nga sa isang destination. Siyempre, the more na satisfied sila sa service, yan, nag-enjoy sila, so mas encourage silang mag-spend more doon sa isang destination. Kunwari, sa mga souvenir, so, or kaya doon sa mga restaurant, sa mga activities. So, nagkakaroon ng balance doon sa payment or yung income flow doon sa isang destination or sa country. So, number 3, regional development. Tourism helps in developing regions that might otherwise be overlooked. By attracting visitors to specific areas, it encourages investment in infrastructure like roads, airports, and accommodation, fostering economic growth in those locations. So, the more na dumarami po yung tourist arrival do sa isang destination, but of course, be mindful pa rin yung dapat controlled pa rin nila or yung allowable maximum number of tourists lang daily. Ayun nga, pero the more na nag-increase nga yung tourist arrival, so mas nagiging opportunity po ito for a tourist destination, syempre para develop yung kanilang infrastructure, yung kanilang mga main roads, airports, mga accommodation, so mga hotel, restaurant. So, syempre, iyon yung magiging factor para continuously mag-develop yung isang destination or continuously mag-grow. Kasi, syempre, saan kukuha ng fund for development? Yan nga, ng mga major infrastructure kung walang pumapasok na income sa tourism sector. So, ayan, magbe-benefit yan yung isang region or isang destination, yan continuous mag-develop. So, 'di ba? Kung nare-recall niyo ito doon sa 3 types doon sa destination life cycle last meeting, so 'di ba 'yon? Magmula sa introduction stage na allocentric pa lang yung kanilang initial tourists, ayan, doon sa destination, hanggang pagdating ng growth stage, ayan, maturity, ayan, yun sa ganong stage, so sa growth, tatlong types of tourists na yung kanilang target tourists or yan, yung mga visitors nila sa destination. So, continuously nag-i-improve yung infrastructure. So, the more na tuloy-tuloy yung pasok or flow ng uh, tourist arrival doon sa isang destination. So, kumbaga, pag in demand, so continuously nag-i-improve. But at the same time, ayan nga, dapat monitored pa rin yun nga, yung activity ng mga tourist sa destination para ma-ensure natin na walang anything harm na nadudulot itong mga turista doon sa isang destination or sa isang country. So the shift to a strategic approach. Due to this significant economic contributions, tourism has moved from being a general part of a country's economic strategy to a specific field of study and microeconomic planning. So this involves using specialized techniques to analyze market trends, allocate resources efficiently, and develop long-term strategies for tourism growth. This strategic shift ensures that tourism development is not only profitable but also sustainable, benefiting local communities and preserving cultural and natural resources. So, dahil nga yung tourism industry has proven to be a major economic contributor sa isang bansa or region, ayan, so countries now treat it as a specialized field yung tourism sector. So, ayan, sabi nagkaroon na ng strategic planning, specific techniques for tourism sector to manage the continuous growth. And at the same time, while ensuring yung profitability, so syempre, ayan nga, i-ensure din dapat na napapractice yung sustainable or yan, yung being respectful ng tourists doon sa local communities, yan, sa natural resources, na preserve yung kultura na meron doon sa isang destination which is part ng history ng isang destination. So, dapat, no matter what happen, kung ano man maging trend po sa tourism sector, so dapat ma-preserve pa rin yung kultura na meron doon sa isang destination. Kasi di ba part ng history yun, part ng identity ng isang destination, di ba? Kaya nga may mga historical site tayo na protected under the law nga. Ayan. Hindi pwedeng basta-basta tibagin or i-restructure. So, syempre, protected dyan ng mga certain laws sa tourism sector. So, the levels of planning. So, tourism planning happens at two main levels. So, meron tayong national and local level of planning. So, national level of planning. So, the central government leads national level planning. So, it focuses on selecting and developing specific areas. So, ayan, at the national level ng tourism planning, so it is led by the central government. So, ayan, ang government natin. So, nakasalalay po doon sa kung gaano ka-effective, ayan, mag-implement ng policy, ayan, ng strategy yung ating government, ayan, depende doon yung magiging success or growth ng isang tourist destination. Kasi sila yung nagde-decide on which area yung kailangan ma-develop, ayan, from tourist destination, mga infrastructure, ayan, so, and then yung pasok po ng foreign investor, ayan, sa bansa, ayan, or sa isang destination, syempre, di ba, nakasalalay pa rin yun doon sa government. So, marketability, how appealing the areas are to both international and domestic tourists. So, for example, yung mga marketing campaign na ginagawa po ng DOT, di ba, sila yung responsible for promoting yung mga tourist destinations po sa Philippines. So, ayan, ang current tagline natin is, di ba, is Love the Philippines. So, yun yung branding po natin ngayon or tagline. And then, yung mga ginagawang marketing, promotional marketing ng DOT to promote yung mga different tourist destinations sa ating bansa. So, ayan, effective ba? Ayan, contribute ba to sa increase ng tourism flow sa bansa natin? So, ayan, anticipated revenue, the projected income from the tourism sector, future demand, so projection of future tourist numbers. So, ayan nga, yung potential ng isang bawat destination, ayan, towards continuous development or yung mga foreign investment doon sa isang destination which is kailangan ng ating bansa. Syempre, hindi naman po ganun kayaman ng Pilipinas. So, kailangan natin yung mga private sector, ayan, mga or mga foreign investor, ayan nga, to collaborate doon sa mga project infrastructure para continuously ma-develop po yung mga certain destinations sa bawat region natin. So national plan also set the broad framework for local and regional development. So if ever po na nawawala yung audio ko or yung ating PowerPoint, wait lang. Pa-inform po ako agad so para hindi po tayo makaskip nung mga each topic po dito sa ating week 4. So at the local level of planning, a detailed planning is done at the local level. While the central government might provide financial aid, the local authorities are responsible for managing specific tourism projects. So this model is common in countries where tourism isn't highly developed and the government plays a central role. So the local authorities or local government, ayan, sila yung responsible for creating a detailed plan, mag-manage ng mga specific tourism projects sa kanilang areas na nasasakupan. So yun, while the national government, so tutulong sila sa funding, ayan, ng mga tourism project. So si local government po yung responsible for the day-to-day work of developing or managing yung mga uh, the tourism in their specific region. Kumbaga, katuwang lang nila yung national government, yung national level, yan, sa funding, yan, ng mga project. Pero ang magpo-propose ng mga project, yan, development doon sa isang destination or is si local government po. So, ayan, we have public and private sector involvement. So, yun nga, na-mention ko po kanina. So, essential, lalo na sa mga country kagaya natin, yun nga, yung involvement po ng mga private sector. So, hindi kaya na public lang or government lang. So, ang funds, so, kailangan natin yung mga private company, private sector. So, collaboration project. Ayan, mamaya magbigay po ako ng example. So, historically, tourism facilities were developed and managed solely by the state in many countries. So, today, many nations like China, India, and then Philippines, of course, are opening their tourism sector to private participation. So, this shift recognizes that governments can fund everything at once. So, ayan, even China na mas malaki po sa atin, so hindi kaya ng government alone lang na mag-fund everything sa lahat ng infrastructure. So, kailangan talaga natin itong mga private sector. So, collaboration. They must prioritize projects where some infrastructure already exists and the instructions are already well known. Developing completely new areas is a long-term goal that depends on a country's resources and political commitment. So, ayan nga, due to limited funds, so yan, nagkaroon ng public and private sector partnership. So, marami ng countries, ayan nga, ang nagkakaroon ng collaboration or partnering with private companies. So, to fund yung mga tourism project. So, this collaboration allows government to prioritize and invest sa mga projects, ayan, lalo na doon sa mga developing area, ayan. So, yung mga in-demand na tourist destination, syempre, ayan, usually mag-invest doon to improve or develop or mas lalo pang mag-develop and improve yung mga infrastructure to cater nga yung continuous demand sa tourism sector doon sa isang destination. So, ito po yung example natin. Ayan, sorry. So, ito yung example natin ng public and private partnership. So, ayan po, si San Miguel Corporation or SMC. So, it partners with the Philippine government through major public and private partnership and joint ventures to build critical national transport systems. Ayan, yung mga main roads, ayan, sa Pilipinas, is under the partnership ng government natin and ni San Miguel Corporation. So, yan yung mga SMC infrastructure. For example, yung mga major highways natin, ayan, NLEX, SLEX, TPLEX, etc. Collaboration po yan ng government and ng SMC. So, kanila pong agreement dyan is merong concession period 15 to 35 years. So, depende po doon sa contract nila per project, sa contract ni government and SMC. So, yung concession period, yun nga, between 15 to 35 years. Yung initially, yung ownership ng mga project na ito, of course, sa SMC kasi sila yung nag-fund or nag-sponsor nitong mga infrastructure, and then after 15 to 35 years, depende do sa kontrata po per project, so malilipat po sa government, ayan, sa Philippine government yung pagmamayari ng mga infrastructure na yon. And then, syempre, lifetime na yon na under ng government. So, lahat na ng pumapasok na income doon, yan. So, doon sa mga project or infrastructure, so, nasa government fund na po. So, ganun po ang agreement ng SMCN ng ating government. So, ayan, marami kilala. Aside doon sa mga main roads and highway, ayan, yung mga airport natin na iya, ayan. So, yung NAIA rehabilitation. So, si SMC din po ang nag-fund, ayan, to develop yung mga airports natin. So, marami pa. And then, yung mga major bridge, ayan, railroad sa ibang region. So, under din yan ng collaboration po ng government and ni SMC. So next, political factors influencing tourism. So there is a clear relationship between politics and global tourism, influencing destination choices, travel policies, and the overall experience of tourists. So of course, malaking factor po yung political condition, yan, nung isang bansa doon nga sa tourism sector. Siyempre, nakadepende po sa government yung magiging progress nga sa tourism industry. So, because they are the one who implement ng policies and strategy. So, yun, nakadepende doon sa pamumuno ng gobyerno. Yan, kung paano magde-develop or continuously mag-grow yung isang destination. So, for example, pag ang country, ayan, may political instability, di ba? Example, magulo, ayan, mga issues sa politics. So, syempre, nakaka-discourage po ito ng tourists. So, syempre, iisipin nila, ayan, may banta doon sa safety and security nila dahil magulo itong country na to. So, ayan, sa political side. So, syempre, magiging factor po yun para mabawasan yung tourist arrival. Ayan, and then, syempre yung mga foreign investors, so paano natin sila ma-encourage to invest sa bansa natin? Ayan, pagka nga merong political instability. So, ayan, may mga ganong factor po na merong positive and negative impact po sa tourism sector. Ayan. So, audible pa po ba ako? Naririnig pa? Ayan, thank you. So, pasabi po kung medyo mabilis kasi baka nabibilisan kayo sa discussion po natin. Ayan, pwede naman nating i-adjust. So, next, legislation impacting tourism. The first of the political factors influencing tourism is legislation. So, legislation or yung mga laws, policy na implemented doon sa bawat destination or sa bawat country. So, marami tayong batas. So, laws about health, safety, employment laws, ayun nga sa tourism planning, etc. So, implementation ng mga policy, framework, ayan, mga batas sa isang bansa. So, it directly influence yung tourism industry. Siyempre, with proper laws implementing sa isang country or destination, so it can have positive impact. So, for example, yung mga certain laws protecting against crimes, ayan, safety and security ng mga destination, yung mga certain laws protecting the environment and natural resources. So, nakasalalay pa rin po yun sa pamumuno syempre ng government. Ayan, kung gaano kahigpit mag-implement ng mga policy framework to protect yung buong tourism sector, syempre. So, employment laws are also important to ensure workers' rights and the most productive working environment. So, of course, syempre, essential to for protecting yung rights ng mga workers, ng mga employees, and creating a good working environment para sa kanila. For example, dito merong examples laws as this exists in most Western countries. So, ayan, mga developed countries like European, USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. However, many developing countries lack such stringent laws or the enforcement of the law. So, yun nga, sa mga developed countries daw, so properly implemented yan, yung mga employment law, so well enforced. 'Di ba? Kaya nga marami pong OFW, yun, dream job na makapag-work po dito sa mga countries na nabanggit, ayan, or yung mga developed countries. So, according to this statement, iyan, many developing countries, yung mga developing pa lang, so either have less strict laws or nag-i-struggle sila to enforce yung mga policy nila, ayan, laws. So, syempre, this can lead sa mga issues like mababa ang pasahod, ayan, kasi nga hindi properly implemented, syempre, yung mga businesses, companies, so iti-take advantage po nila yun, syempre, kung hindi ganong kahigpit yung batas, yan, regarding yun nga, yung minimum rate, etc., yan yung rights ng employee. So, syempre, magsasuffer po yung mga workers, mga employees. So, yan, again, so sana, yan, effective po yung implementation ng government yan nga sa mga policy. So, dapat, hindi naman super strict, pero at least, maprotektahan po yung mga workers or employees. So, syempre, this can lead to low wages nga, mababa pa sahod, or ma-abuse sila, long hours ng duty sa trabaho, poor working condition. So, syempre, maapektuhan po yung mga tourism workers and the overall quality ng country's tourism industry. So, syempre, anong mangyayari pag employee is hindi motivated, ayan, hindi properly compensated, ibibigay ba nila yung best nila? Ayan, yung quality of service, lalo na sa tourism sector, di ba? Kasama po sa product natin is yung intangible product, which is yung service na pinoprovide natin sa ating guests, sa ating tourist, sa ating customer. So, kung ikaw si employee, hindi ka well compensated, walang benefits, or walang anything benefits doon sa employer mo. So, sino nga naman ang gaganahang ibigay yung best nila or motivated na mag-provide ng quality service. So, syempre, overall, yung epekto po nun sa tourism sector. So, kumbaga para siyang domino effect na, yun, magmula doon sa, sorry, naslipat ko na. So, magmula doon sa less implementation or hindi ganun ka-strict implementation ng mga laws protecting the employee. So, ang naging epekto niya, negative effect is, ayun nga, hindi na-provide yung quality service for the tourists. So, purposes of tourism legislation. So, the foundation of tourism legislation lies in its ability to protect tourists, promote fair treatment, and foster the growth of tourism amenities while preserving destinations from overdevelopment. So, legislation acts as a safeguard for tourist investments and ensures accessibility for all, supporting the sustainable growth of the tourism sector. So, yung tourism legislation, so it is designed to protect tourists, investment nila ng mga foreign investor, ensuring they are treated fairly, and of course, syempre, yung safety, kapakanan din ng local community or ng mga local workers and ng environment. So, syempre, ayan, encouraging yung development ng mga infrastructure while also preventing yung overly developed or overly commercialized na to the point na na-abuse na yung mga natural resources. So, dapat ang goal, ayan, ng legislation is to balance lang yung economic growth and preservation, sustainability ng mga tourist destination. Next, economic impact of taxes on tourism. So, saan nga ba napupunta yung taxes? Ayan, saan ginagamit? So, anong purpose ng mga tax? So, taxes significantly impact tourism by altering travel costs and possibly deterring tourists with additional expenses like trade, airport, and visitors taxes. However, these taxes serve a dual purpose by providing vital funding for destination countries. The revenue generated can be reinvested into critical public services such as healthcare, education, and enhancement of public facilities, contributing to the overall well-being of the local population and improving the tourist experience. So, ayan, yung taxes from the tourists, ayan, na pupunta sa bansa natin. So, ginagamit yon as fund ng government for the development ng infrastructure, ng tourism sector, facilities, ayan, etc. ayan, through taxes din ng tourist, ayan, ang tourism industry. So, yung cycle ng investment, ayan, yung long-term sustainability. So, uh, yung cycle, ayan, continuous and, ayun nga, nagkakaroon ng balance, yung kagaya kanina, yung balance of payment, galing doon sa mga foreign currency ng tourist. So, pero ayun nga, in reality, di ba, ayan, mulat naman tayo, so napapanood naman natin sa news na, ayun nga, merong mga nangyayari na corruption, which is, yun yung isa sa mahirap na kalaban ng isang country kasi nga, aanihin natin yung continuous na flow ng income sa tourism sector kung ayun nga, merong bahid ng corruption. So, sana hopefully, ayun yung kumbaga maiwasan na para continuously mapunta talaga yung fund po para doon sa mga infrastructure ng mga bansa. So, syempre, isa to sa nagiging hindrance doon sa success sa development ng isang country pagka, yun nga, merong issue ng corruption. So, imbis na mapunta doon sa infrastructure, ayan, for example, for education, healthcare facilities, ayan, benefit ng public, ng citizen, so, napupunta sa ibang bagay. So, sayang po. So, ayun dapat yung ma-manage nga, lalo na sa tourism sector. Kasi malaki talaga yung pinapasok po na income ng tourism sector sa isang bansa or sa isang region. So, influence of passport and visa regulations. So, visa and passport regulations play a pivotal role in shaping international tourism, with strict entry requirements potentially deterring visitors due to the complexity and additional cost. So, yan, yung strict passport and visa rules, so pwedeng mag-discourage yun ng tourists because they make travel more complicated or mas expensive. Ayan. Or yun nga, sabi niya, additional cost for the tourists. So, pwedeng ang negative impact nun, ayan nga, is to madi-discourage si tourists to visit yung isang country na masyadong strict doon sa passport and visa rules. On the other hand, sabi dito, destinations can streamline visa processes. It can boost their appeal by making travel more accessible. So, in contrast, so yung mga countries with simple or easy to get new visa processes, mas attractive po yun sa tourists. So, this policy or regulations can directly affects kung paano yung tourists choose or visit yung isang destinations. Kumbaga, mas nagiging attractive for tourists yung kapag convenience, less complicated po yung passport and visa rules. So, yun. Kaya, yan, sa mga news makikita nyo yung ibang country, di ba? For example, nag-iba sila ng rules doon sa passport and visa process nila. So, yun nga, to attract tourist visitors. So, what are the government role in tourism promotion? So, governments play a crucial role in promoting tourism by utilizing funding, marketing, partnerships to highlight attractions, which in turn enhances tourist experiences and contributes to economic growth. So, yun nga kanina, yung pag-usapan natin, yan, yung funding ng government, yan, yung role ng private sector, yan, in sustaining and development ng mga infrastructure, yung marketing promotion na ginagawa po ng DOT, ayan, to promote the different destinations sa Pilipinas, which is kailangan yan to attract nga ng more tourists, more investment. Strategies like tax incentives and investments in tourism infrastructure further emphasize the government's commitment to developing sector, demonstrating proactive approach to bolstering both appeal of destinations and overall well-being of the economy through tourism. So, yan. For example, tax incentives, paano? So, for example, sa mga tourism businesses, magbibigay ng tax incentive si government for those establishment na mag-i-invest sa solar system or mag-i-invest doon sa maayos na waste management. Ayan, water treatment. Ayan, so para ma-encourage po natin yung mga businesses to promote or cooperate doon sa sustainable tourism practices. So, ayan, one way is yung mga tax incentives. Ayan, to give reward doon sa mga tourism businesses na nagko-comply or nagko-cooperate. Tourist boards are very important in destination promotion, offering tourists comprehensive information and working on strategies to improve visitor experience. Their collaboration with governments and businesses is vital for developing sustainable tourism practices and ensuring that destinations remain appealing and accessible. So, ano ba yung tourist board? So, ito yung mga organization, ayan, involved sa tourism sector. So, they are crucial for promoting tourism, improving yung tourist experience. Ayan, so kagaya nga ng ginagawa na ng DOT. So, they provide information sa tourists. Ayan, encourage yung potential investors sa bansa natin or sa region natin. So, through the sa effort ng mga tourist board, ayan, it ensure yung destinations to remain attractive, yan, accessible for the long-term development ng isang destination. So, what are the effects naman ng political instability sa tourism sector? So, ayan nga, na-mention na natin kanina. So, for example, when a country faces political problems, example, threats of terrorism or war, it can really hurt tourism. So, syempre, ayan, aside sa mga political instability, so yan, terrorism, major threat yan sa tourism sector. So, syempre, it can cause tourists to cancel yung kanilang trips. Ayan, syempre, habang bumagsak yung tourism income, yun nga yung kagaya nung topic natin last meeting, yung bus space, yung decline stage. So, it can lead doon sa mga businesses na mawala ng income, magsara, and of course, domino effect na po yun. So, mawawala ng income yung community dahil nga doon sa political instability, sa war, yan, terrorism na nangyayari doon sa isang country. So, this means people might cancel their trip, businesses related to tourism might fail, and money that usually comes in from tourists will drop. So, syempre, wala ng turista, wala ng investor, so babagsak yung economy ng tourism sector. So dahil nga doon sa mga political instability kasi yun nga may safety and security issue na yung isang country. So madi-discourage po talaga yung mga tourist visitors natin. Lalo na kung dependent talaga sa tourism sector yung isang destination, so kawawa po yung mga local community. Political factors and destination choice. When tourists pick a place to visit, how they see the country's political situation, its openness to different culture, and how it gets along with other countries can make a difference. If a destination is thought of as stable, safe, welcoming to everyone, it's more likely to draw in tourists. This highlights strong influence that political conditions have on the world of travel and tourism. So, syempre yun nga, yung country's political situation, so key factor po yon doon sa tourist decision kung magbivisit sila doon sa isang destination. So, kapag ang country or tourist destination is stable, safe, welcoming, of course, mas appealing po siya para sa mga tourist visitors natin. On the other hand, kapag risky po or unsafe, dahil nga doon sa mga political issues, ayan, syempre, iiwasan tayo ng mga tourist. So, maapektuhan yung tourism income or economy. To conclude, political factors undeniably shape the landscape of global and tourism, affecting legislation, taxation, entry requirements, and destination promotion. Understanding these influences is paramount for navigating the complexities of the tourism industry, ensuring destinations can thrive while offering safe, accessible, and enriching experiences for all travelers. So, yun nga, yung mga political factors, for example, yung implementation ng law, yung taxes, regulation, ayan, visa, passport and visa rules. So, malaki ang impact nun sa tourism industry. So, understanding these influences is key for any tourism industry to help them succeed. Yan, ma-ensure yung safety and welcoming uh, ambience para kay tourist visitors. So, yan, may video po dito, pero i-skip na natin. So, naka-provide naman po ito doon sa ating lesson, which is nasa Schoology na po. Ayan. Kasi baka masita na po ako dito, nasa office pa ako. So, skip na po natin yung video. So, naka-provide naman po ito sa lesson. Pwede nyo pong i-check.
Response
So what are the steps in tourism planning naman? So sabi dito, a tourism plan acts as a roadmap for a destination's development. Creating this roadmap requires clear step-by-step process to ensure successful and well thought out plan. This process is similar to other types of planning and includes 5 essential steps. So sabi dito, yung tourism planning works like a roadmap ng isang destination. Kumbaga ito yung nagpo-provide ng clear direction, ano yung mga strategies, so paano uh, take into action yung mga strategies, plan nila, ayan, towards growth and development nga ng tourism sector. So, may step by step daw po rito. So, isa-isahin natin. So, una, step 1, situation analysis. This is the first and most critical step. It answers the question, where are we now? This involves a SWOT analysis. So, yan, gumamit tayo dito ng SWOT analysis. Yan, understanding yung current state or condition ng isang destination. Ayan. So, we should look doon sa internal factors. Di ba yung SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. So, for the internal factors, so titignan natin yung strengths and weaknesses ng isang destination. So, strength, yan, yung mga positive attributes, yan, ano ba yung mga natural attraction, cultural heritage, historical sites, which make the destination appealing or attractive kay tourists. So yan, sabi yan, example, beautiful scenery, unique culture, mga historical site, and then also yung weaknesses. So ano ba yung limitations? Yan, doon sa isang destination. So what are the destinations shortcomings? For example, poor infrastructure, lack of trained staff, limited access, yan, accessibility siguro sa mga main roads. Ayan, so, tignan natin yung factor na yon. So, hindi lang puro strength. So, syempre yung weaknesses, para nga, yan yung maging way towards development ng isang destination. So, meron din tayong external factors. Ayan, the opportunities and threats. So, under na opportunities, what external trends can benefit the destination? Yan. So, kumbaga dito sa external factor, so tinitingnan natin ano yung nangyayari around us. Yan. That could help or harm yung tourism growth. So, yan. Opportunities. So, yung mga positive external trends. So, for example, new technology, paano ma-utilize yun sa destination to improve growing market or expanding yung tourist market. Yan. And other opportunities na pwedeng maging way for the success ng isang destination. So, sa threats naman, so ito yung mga risks, yan, that could harm the destination. So, for example, economic downturns, natural disasters, which is uncontrollable naman, di ba? Kailangan lang maging resilient enough or adaptable yung isang destination, yun nga, para to survive yung mga natural disasters. So, competition, so yan from other destination, syempre. So, ano ba yung mga strategies para stay relevant or yun nga, competitive enough yung isang destination. So, this analysis helps the planning team understand the destination's current position and its potential for growth. It also involves reviewing existing plans and legal documents to ensure consistency. So, kumbaga, yung clear picture ng destination, yung current situation, yung growth potential, and then, syempre, yung mga threats and weaknesses na kailangan i-improve. So, tinitignan po natin dito. Yan. So, assessing yung external factors, so it helps yung tourism planning na ma-align yung development strategy nila towards global trends or preparing doon sa mga potential risks. Step 2, setting goals and objectives. So, after, ayun nga, nung situation analysis, so, yan, setting goals and objectives. So, once you know where you are, you can decide where do we want to be. So, goals, these are broad, long-term vision. For example, to become the leading ecotourism destination. So, ang objectives, these are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So, pag sinabing SMART, yung kanilang objective should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. The targets that help you achieve your goals. So for example, increase the number of locally hired staff by 5% over the next 3 years. So kumbaga, specific. So determined nila. So in the next 3 years, so kailangan mag-increase into 5% yung kanilang employees na na-hire galing doon sa local community. So, kumbaga yung ating goal, so it set the vision, si objective, siya ay nagpo-provide ng concrete step to reach yung ating mga goals or yung vision natin. Step 3, formulating strategies. This step answers the question, how do we get there? Strategies are the broad approaches you will use to achieve your goals. They are high-level plans that guide your action. So, dito sa formulating strategies, so yun nga, it's about deciding how do we get there. So after mo mag-set ng goals and objective, so ayan na, magpo-formulate na ng strategy, paano mo ma-achieve yung mga sinet mong goals and objectives. Yan. For example, so kung bibigyan natin to ng example, so kunwari ang goal ng isang destination or country is to become an ecotourism destination. So ano kaya yung magiging strategies, formulation ng strategies nila? So either, for example, pupromote nila eco-friendly tours, mag-invest sila sa mga sustainable infrastructure, ayan, etc. So to support yung kanilang goals and objectives. So, towards the end na po tayo. So, sorry yan. Step 4, determining an action plan. So, this is where you turn your strategies into specific, detailed actions. The action plan breaks down the strategies into programs, projects, and activities. It also specifies who is responsible for each task. So, dito sa step 4, ito turn into specific, detailed action na nila yung kanilang mga na-build or na ideas, mga objective, so turn into action plan na po. So, yan, kung towards doon sa development ng mga programs, project, yan, infrastructure. So, and then clearly assign who will carry out yung mga each task. So, government agency ba, local authorities, private partners or private companies or yung community group. So, dapat specific kaninong responsibility each task. So, for example, a project could be the Tourism Road Infrastructure Program, which focuses on building roads to key tourist destinations. So, itong Tourism Road Infrastructure, so, kailangan yan nga, to provide ng accessible road, yan, for tourists, para ma-ensure yung accessibility, yan, ma-cater or yan, ma-support yung tourist visitor flow doon sa destination. So, step 5, so last step po, monitoring and evaluation. This final step is about checking your progress. It answers the question, how are we doing? So, after nung mga planning, ayan, implementation, ayan, final stage, so, evaluation na. So, kamusta yung kanilang, yung progress, checking progress, ensuring na effective yung mga plan nila. So, continuous monitoring, ayan, regularly tracking progress using specific indicators. Ayan, to track yung activities, ayan, may mga ginagamit na indicator such as number of jobs created. So, after implementing yung mga policy na yung plan, goals and objectives, so, nakatulong ba para mag-promote ng job opportunity for the local? Tourist receipt, air pollution index, so, sa tourist arrival, so, sa environment condition, so, may negative effect ba or na-prevent ba, na iwasan? So, ayan, continuous monitoring and evaluation ng kanilang mga na-implement na policies and strategies. Evaluation, comparing the results against your initial goals and objectives to see if the plan is working. If there are deviations, the plan can be adjusted. So, yun, sa evaluation, so, compare mo yung naging result ng strategies, yan, ng mga goals and objectives doon sa previous. So, mas nag-improve ba yung tourism sector? So, may positive impact ba? So, kung kulang pa or ayan, hindi effective, so kailangan mag-adjust doon sa plans and strategies. This process is iterative, meaning that the results of monitoring and evaluation can lead to refinements in the plan and new planning cycle. So, yan. Through continuous monitoring and evaluation, so ma-check, ma-assess kung kailangan ng adjustment or kailangan consistent doon sa ginagawa nilang mga strategies. Yan. To allow the destination to adjust and continuously improve. So, yan. To implement itong 5 steps in tourism planning. So, references. Ayan. So, recap lang. So, again, so si tourism planning, sabi po according to these lessons, is like a strategic roadmap sa isang destination. So, towards sa development. So, ayun, guided by nung 5 essential steps na diniscuss natin. And then, yung significance ng mga stakeholders, ayan, government, private and public sector, ayan, and then effect ng political instability, ayan, political condition, ayan, for the long-term benefit ng isang destination. So, for the references, ayan, 3 books na nasa library and then websites, reference and yung video po. So, kung gusto niyo pong i-check yung video, so nandito naman sa reference yung ating link. So, Seatwork, so dahil nga tayo po ay naka-online, so hindi kami advisable na magbigay ng Seatwork. So, during face-to-face na lang to. And then, sa quiz, summative quiz po, covering week 2 to 4. So, this week ko siya ibababa. Pero don't worry, i-adjust po natin yung deadline. So, siguro hanggang midterm. So, tignan ko kung paano yung adjustment natin sa deadline ng Seatwork. Quiz. So, summative po yun. Cover ng week 2 to 4. For the assignment, so, pwede na po itong i-disregard kasi nasa Schoology na. So, nakasummative na rin yung week 2 to 4 natin na assignment, diba? So, ito rin po yun. So, naka-attach lang sa ating week 4. So, RJ, of course, weekly. So, tapos na tayo sa week 4 ngayon. So, magpa-publish po ako ng reflective journal, week 2 to 4. Nasa isang submission pa lang po yun. Pero, yung week 2, 3, 4 na RG, so dapat makita doon sa submission nyo po ng reflective 2 to 4. So, pagdating ng midterm, magre-revise po ako. Plano ko revise tong RG kasi masyado marami yung 8 questions. So, gawin natin concise. So, produce po ako ng bagong format ng RG na syempre dito rin natin kukunin sa standard RG para mabawasan naman po yung sinasagutan natin. So, alam ko naman weekly per subject may mga activities po. So, try nating i-concise. Kaya nga ginagawa nating summative yung quiz, assignment, etc. So, para magtulungan din na ma-lesson kahit papaano, syempre. So, SDG alignment of this lesson. So, this lesson is aligned with the SDG number 4, quality education. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. SDG 11, sustainable citizen communities. SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. And SDG 17, partnership for the goals. So, ayan, marami yan. Sa mga tourism professional subjects kasi usually naman talaga yan, maraming alignment doon sa 17 SDGs ng United Nations. So, yan. As tourism students, so dapat familiar po tayo dito sa 17 SDG. So, ayan. In support nga doon sa agenda ng UN. So, ayan. Yung mga lessons natin is dapat may alignment doon sa mga SDG goals. So, that's the end po ng ating week 4. So, ayan. I hope audible po ako. And then, ayan. Naka-record. Nakikita naman po dito sa Gmeet natin. So, 59 minutes. So, isi-save ko to and then upload sa YouTube and then bibigay ko yung link sa Schoology. So, hindi po siya searchable sa YouTube kasi ipa-private ko siya. So, basta may link kayo yun, ma-access niyo po yung video. Kasi mabagal masyado pagka sa Schoology ko po in-upload yung buong video. Baka hindi ko siya matapos i-upload ngayon at tumuulan na. So, mas mabilis ko sa YouTube and then provide ko yung link sa Schoology. Ayan. Para din may balikan kayong lesson and then self-space study ng mga hindi naka-attend for today kung meron mang hindi naka-attend. So, teka.